I'm Joe Rich, a family therapist and social worker in the City of Toronto. I've been asked to say a few words about dating after divorce and kids. It's a difficult spot when you begin to date, but it's really important that you sever the two ideas, the date or the person you'll be dating, and the idea of dating. It's really necessary to introduce the idea of dating before we even get to a date. And in that I mean that the kids have a right to make an adjustment to the notion that either or both of their parents are going on dates. And in light of that, it's probably a good idea to let them know prior to a date that you will be dating. This gives them an opportunity to adjust to the idea or to think about what it's going to be like. It's also a really important idea to involve the kids in the process of dating. It's okay if the person phones you at home and the kids answer the telephone and say, "Dad, it's a woman," or "Mom, it's a man," so that they become acclimatized to the notion that their parents are single. And probably a lot of kids find their parents dating difficult. We tend to think of it as difficult because someone new is coming on board, but what we discover by talking with children is that the real difficulty is that when mom or dad starts to date, it's another ending for them. It's another moment where they realize that their parents probably won't be getting back together. And so that's what the adjustment is often about. And sometimes when you talk about dating, kids will cry and they'll say, "Oh, you're going on a date. I thought you guys were getting back together." And you'll realize that that's a bit of a fantasy that they have. It's a fantasy they're allowed to have. But when you date, you might be throwing a little bit of water on the embers of what they thought might be the reconciliation in the marriage and in the family. So we're cautious with the idea of dating. Otherwise, you date, you introduce them to people. It's important not to go with the idea that when I get to the very right person, that's when I'll introduce the kids, because then you're asking the very right person to shoulder the burden of all of the adjustment. And actually the adjustment needs to be made over time, sometimes with a variety of different dates, until you do get to the right person. Don't hide your single life. It's part of being divorced. It's part of your children's lives. I hope that's helpful advice. Good luck on the dating scene. It's Joe Rich signing off.